I remember that lady who's the archaeologist we had met, this Turkish archaeologist. So by the way, so this is the behind the scenes story of what happened on that trip. She comes back from Ankara. So remember I told you that she went to Ankara to get permission, and she when she left, she said, "Oh yeah, yeah, this is good, positive. I'm sure we'll get the permission." And so I call these, I get connected with this a company from Atlanta, Georgia, and Oregon, and then we get everything signed. We fundraised. When she comes back, I think it was like 4 or 5 days later. She comes back and she tells us, she says, "Oh no, they're not giving us a permit." And we're like, "We have a team site. We already like we give a deposits. People bought in their flights, and you're telling me now we can't do any of this work? We have a science channel already there. No, they have their separate film permit, and in fact, they got their permit through the Turkish Film Commission, the government agency that gives it. And we know he's now a good friend of mine, the chairman of one of the organizations connected with that, who helps people get their film permits, is a good friend now, and we connected because of this trip. Because basically, somehow he had emailed us. I forget how he got involved. There was some issue with their permit of filming at the Arc site and all that during that month, and so we connected with him through another friend. I don't know. Anyways, he got involved and he pushed through the permit. So we had issues with their permit, but they got everything settled. But our survey permit didn't come through, and I'm like, what? And we just told this whole team to come out here. We fundraised, and now what do we do? And my friend, he basically said, "Look, there's a lot of like in the Middle East, you can get permits to do stuff." He said the biggest people or thing that counts is if you have local permission from the like security officials and the governor's office, things on the ground versus higher up.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, so what do we do? And so it was kind of stressful, but we basically said, let's just go ahead with the trip. And we informed the security officials that, hey, we're going to be there 3 or 4 days scanning. We have this film team filming the work. And they basically said, okay, no problem. But in fact, they actually said 3 days. That's it. You have to you only do 3 days. Um, and I remember that third day, in fact, it was a lot of drama. Like that third day, the team comes back to us that, hey, we need one more day to finish this. If we're going to do the whole two scan, and I'm like, look, we're already doing this, like you could say unofficially, but officially. Like the local officials said, yes, go ahead. But some of the higher up found out they might kick us out of the site, or worse. And so here we are. We're trying to get this data, and we need one more day. They're telling us. And my friend was so stressed. I remember he's like, Andrew, this could end it all. Like if we do one more day without the permission of the local, and they catch us, you'll be kicked out of Turkey probably. We won't be able to do anything more on the Ozark. Um, and so the end result of all that, I remember he finally found someone he knew in the organization there. You can say security or whatever you want to call them. Then they basically said, do it quickly. And they said only 2 people. And so they brought out the radar guy and his helper. No one else could be out there in the site on that fourth day. It was a Thursday, I remember. And they did the work. But that Turkish archaeologist, um, she wasn't around. I don't know what happened after that for her for the rest of that year. Because 2019, after that, I had never, I left right after the survey work was done. I went to Saudi Arabia for that trip, and I didn't come back until February when COVID hit, and then we reconnect with her. But we never like she was not on the site when we did the work. We just had the radar team from America and the locals, but no one else from involved with that from Turkey. So and I think she doesn't follow. I don't think she follows my stuff. I don't. She never asked us any questions after that. Never talked to us about us trying to get a permit through her. We never bugged her about that again. We paid for her trip, and we didn't talk to her like, why did you say go ahead and then you come back saying no? So it was years. We're looking at it now. Almost what is it? This was 2019, so still 7 years coming up. I don't know if there's a penalty on this. If someone's from who's watching this, and they're like, "Oh, they're admitting they didn't have an official," and that's kind of how it worked. Also with the ERT, I found out it was not a written permit. It was this guy going to the governor's office and saying, "We're going to bring in this non-destructive work. We're not digging." And so when the scans were done in 2014, it was all verbal and with permission of the local officials and the security. they're basically like FBI. They watch everything. They're in internal security there, and they're monitoring. You know, it's the border area, so they're monitoring, especially foreigners, what they're doing out there. And so if they say yes, do what you can do, then because they're the ones who will first know about it, then you do it, and don't don't tell anyone else, I guess, for a while. Um, so we collected the data, and looking back on that, that was one of the most important things we done on the site was that work. Plus, I'll talk about the soil work, but for what we got out of that trip, it was amazing because not only did we have it documented with the Science Channel and all their fancy cameras there, and that was, you know, you think about it, they set up their trip way in advance, like 5, 6 months before, and then it all worked out for us to do it. You know, even we had to do it through local official permission to time at the same time and get the team there, fundraise, get everyone out to the site, and have perfect weather because they're doing GPR. And GPR, you have to have, you know, dry soil, like the best penetration. And so we're there when it is like 2 weeks before, I think it was, we had a storm, like it was like misty, just cold, cloudy weather. And I was praying, well, in fact, we told everyone we knew, please pray for the weather, that God would like give us good weather that week. And so when the team showed up Sunday, it was the start of like no clouds in the skies. If you look at our video from that trip and the Science Channel's video, you'll see that it's just perfect blue sky, the sunny days, all in through Thursday when they finished that extra day of scanning. Comes Friday, they had one extra day before they had to leave Saturday to go back to America, and they go decide to go do like, you know, like a tourist day. They see the local tourist sites. This GPR team, and I remember we woke up that morning. We take them to Ishak Pasha Palace, this Ottoman palace, and it's raining. So, like, God held back the rain and gave us perfect weather from Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we have stormy weather, and so then kind of a rainy day for the tourist day. So it was very exciting. But you know, with this type of data, you collect it. Now, GPR, you have a screen, and you can see some of the basic results right away on this screen. And right away, I remember the Science Channel was up at the visitor center that overlooks the Noah's Ark site, and they're filming interviews up there. And we get somebody either call us from the valley floor where the Ark site is, or they came running up the hill and they said, we found some, you know, angular structures and features that the GPR guy was saying, wow, you know, this looks man-made. And so everyone got so excited. And the guy, thankfully, when they were looking at the data at the location where they saw this, he had his iPhone out and he was filming the screen. So he gets it right on camera, the reaction of the
Mhm.
GPR guy. It was like perfect timing. Then he was like, "Whoa, whoa, stop there!" Because they're going like, you know, foot by foot, deeper, deeper. Like they're just kind of scrolling through the data at this one location, and just looking at it. And when they get to 3 meters, about 9 feet, and the guy's like, "Whoa!" And you start seeing these lines show up and right angles, and so the Science Channel is very exciting. They had to interview everyone from that team up at the visitor center. So I got pictures of them doing that, and you know, I was interviewed as like the guy in charge, kind of. They interviewed me, and so it was on. I'll have to find the episode and send you the. You might have seen it already, but it's been on actually different channels now. You know how they reuse these shows
Mhm.
for cable network. So since 2020 when it premiered until now, it's been out there on different channels around the world.